About 3 years ago, I got very interested in seduction. Call it the psychotherapy in me, call it the femme fatale, a woman that is entering into a new chapter of her life. I had actually ended a relationship that was about 4 years at that time, and I was really exploring my sexuality as a person, how I enjoyed myself, how I didn't enjoy myself, dating, relationships in general. I grew up in a very traditional environment where abstinence was key and staying prim and proper and just very innocent was seen as ideal, and you weren't going to be wanted if you weren't like that. When that was actually combined with the fact that I had gone through this intense trauma that redefined how a lot of sexuality went for me, I felt kind of caged. And I felt like I was never able to express my needs or my wants as a woman, as a divine woman. Now, the beautiful thing about harnessing your black cat energy is that you're not allowing other people to define who you are anymore. Instead, you're able to take on your archetype as far as who you wish to be, that black cat energy. And every single woman is different, but all of us women have the ability to have these archetypes and even a couple of them brought to the surface to bring in that seduction, that feeling of feeling sexy and alive and invigorated, whether it's for our own personal love and enjoyment or in a relationship with a partner. Or if you don't even want a relationship, okay, then just living your best life, however you choose to define that. So I got really interested in it. And I even took it a step further when I was releasing my poetry book, Her Wounded Masculine. It was poetry for the femme fatale, for the woman that was discovering power and freedom and love. So the psychology, the artist, the feminine, spirituality of it really came together. And there's this book called Women Love Power that explores these archetypes. And I want to go through on this episode to help you kind of see where you are on the archetypes. That way, you can start to utilize this for your black cat energy. Again, attraction, mystique, mysteriousness is very much part of being black cat. You almost have this mystical ambiance to you. Okay, so I'm going to explore them as I learned about them, and I'm going to maybe give some personal anecdotes in there occasionally, or even some examples if I can't personally relate to it. But let's go ahead. There's going to be a total of 13. So get your pen and paper out, take some notes, circle the ones that you identify with. I actually have a couple in here that I really identify with, but ultimately, you may have three or four of the 13 that you're just like picking apart the buffet. So here we go. There's a category of dominant lover archetypes, and then there's a secondary lover archetypes. These secondaries are going to be the ones where, like, okay, I have a dash of those or a dash of this, versus you're going to have your primary as your main one. So, of the primary, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 primaries, which leads us with 6 for the secondaries. So, here we go. First and foremost is what's known as the lover, or AKA the siren. The siren is what I often get told that I am, even though I don't necessarily like always agree with it. But the siren is probably the one that I'm called the second most. I'm going to actually let you know later the one I identify with. But the siren has a secret weapon. You're unbridled, you're kind of erotic energy in its purest and most tantalizing form. It's like you lure in people with that red lip and those amazing eyes that just captivate somebody. And you're not really having to talk. Like, you're able to bring someone in just with your eyes or your energy. And maybe that's what people mean when they say I go to like an event or a party, is I'm naturally more on the introverted side. So if I want to really call someone over to speak with me, whether it's a man or a woman, I'm kind of calling them with my eyes more than my voice or more than me actually getting up and moving over there. So there is some famous examples. There's Elizabeth Taylor, as long as Bridget Bardot and Mae West. So look up those archetypes. They're all kind of old Hollywood for those. And honestly, it is kind of old Hollywood when it comes to the siren. Having the white fur, you know, jacket or scarf is classic, along with that red lip. And I will be honest with you, I do have a white furry jacket. It's faux, but it's definitely siren-esque. Okay, the next one is the sage. The sage is also known as the Pacific cat, and I'm saying it very much like that because I'm making a play on words with the black cat energy. But this woman really recognizes herself as being kind of like a Kennedy, like a Jacqueline Kennedy or a Carla Bruni. I also kind of put Prince Harry's. Is it Prince Harry's? I'm losing my mind here. The royal family, the classic, now I just can't stop. Royal family. Who is part of the royal family? She's like the main classy but traditional modern woman. Let's see. Royal family members. Here we go. Images. This is like a fun little segue. Sometimes you just want to go on the hunt together, right? All right. Prince Henry. Princess Diana would definitely fit into this, but that wasn't who I was thinking of. I was thinking of Kate Middleton. There we go. Thank you for going on the rabbit hole with me. So with that, Kate Middleton very much would fit into this category of the seductress, but through the sage, through being very sophisticated, very much the secret weapon is elegance, worldliness, and a little bit of mystery, because we don't know everything about the royal family. We didn't know everything about Jacqueline Kennedy or even Princess Diana. So all of those will really fit together. Very elegant. The next is the huntress. The huntress is also AKA the bohemian. Very independent spirit, very sexy, kind of devil-may-care attitude, irresistible. I think of models occasionally with this one, like Coco Chanel. Coco Chanel is doing her own vibe, and so is Bianca Jagger. Both of them are like, you can't help but watch them because they're peculiar, they're different, they're going against the grain, and that is very attractive. Next is the mystique, or the goddess. A lot of us like to have that goddess energy about us. Very sultry, serene presence. It makes you almost seem like you're out of this world. Like something about you just seems alien. A lot of people would think of like Grace Kelly fits in this, or even Ava Perón would fit into this, or Sade. So like just this peculiar thing that you're not playing by the same earthly rules that everyone else is. All right, the queen, the diva, we're talking Beyonce. Definitely fits in this category. You just have this regal presence. It's glamorous, it's nature, but it's like very modern. It's like, I just own the world. And that's captivating. It's very much like, you deserve the best, you get the best. Next is the mother, the sensualist. She's definitely someone that has a lot of love and affection and just is robust. She's sensual. She's not necessarily leading with her sexuality, but she is very sensual. She's someone that likes textures and really likes the idea of physical touch. I'm thinking probably like Nia Long for this one, Sophia Loren, even Eva Mendes, I would kind of put in this category, where you have that motherness, but also that like almost MILF type of thing to you going on. You're like, oh, hi, you can be a mom to me. Sure. So there we go with that one. And then next is the one that I identify with personally, but I do feel, again, a lot of people put me in that siren lover category, but the maiden, the ingenuine, this is where Marilyn Monroe lives her bread and butter. The secret weapon here is kind of, I love how I said wedding. I think that's very much the maiden type of way to go because you're always dreaming of your like dream wedding. So, but this is girlish charm and just this natural, like, I want to take care of her. She's so precious and that girl next door type of feeling to you. If I'm having to really combine myself, I probably am a bit of a siren as well as an ingenuine. So those are your main ones. I want you to circle right now which of these you kind of fall into, or which ones that you're like, okay, I'm definitely this one, but I'm not really the sage. Like, just mark them out. And then she gets into the secondary lover archetypes. Now, these are going to be a little bit easier, I think, to recognize versus your main one. So you can always work backwards, no problem in that. But the first one is the boss. Think boss babe. Think Cleopatra. You command power in the boardroom and in the bedroom. You run the show. That, I will be honest with you, is not actually me. I am a business owner, but I'm not like really looking for power. Like, that's not what I'm searching for. The next is the coquette. I love the coquette. And to be honest with you, this is where a bit of my shadow comes into play. I identify with the coquette because I can get a little bit emotional distance, some black cat energy in there for sure with the emotional distance. And it drives men to extremes. They do not know how to work with the hot and the cold. And I'm not even trying. The coquette's not trying. She's just living according to like her life and what she enjoys. And she's very clear if she doesn't like something, and when she does like something, she's very independent too. And that is so black cat. Like, if anything, out of all of the ones that we've discussed, the coquette is probably the most black cat of all of them. An example of this one would be Serena Williams. Again, she comes and she goes. She's independent. You don't necessarily always see her with a man either. Like, she's doing her own thing, running the show. So moving on, we have 4 more. The next is the enigma. This is the woman that's like deep into that soulfulness. I'm envisioning the woman at the park that has the poetry book. She doesn't have her phone. She's very much like alluring and introverted and soulful. So she's going deep and she has this mystery or this ambiance around her that just seems timeless. So Greta Garbo, Kate Bush, they fall into this category. Next is the Empress, not to be confused with the Queen. Remember, this is a secondary. The Empress makes you feel like a man is a king. Like, the Queen is running her own show. The Empress is almost empowering the king through her intuition and through her instinct. That's a whole different category. Now, the Queen can also be the Empress. They do fit together pretty nicely, actually, but they are separate. So think of like Wallace Simpson or even Marjorie Harvey for this particular one. All right. Next is the lady. You satisfy a man's desire for nurturing and all-consuming love. This is kind of like the doting, lovely 1950s housewife type of mode. Think of maybe Sandra Lee for this particular one. It really fits in with the mother, because if you're being very motherly, you can be very like much the lady because you're also nurturing. That's why they can kind of go together. Okay. Next goes back to the secondary of the maiden, which we actually have Audrey Hepburn or you can even think like Janet Jackson as examples for what's called the Gemini. So this one is a very natural, playful spirit, lowers defenses. Like, you never feel like you're in danger. Like Audrey Hepburn, especially in Breakfast with Tiffany's or when she sings Moon River, you get this like safe feeling, but it's almost light and it's like airy. for lack of a better word. And maybe that's why I really relate with the maiden and the siren, just because like the maiden is my light feminine energy and the siren is probably my dark feminine energy showing. Now, if you're going to become a black cat, remember that you are your own version of the black cat. You are your own confident, cool, collected, worthy woman. These archetypes help you bring out your seduction, like what makes you just feel yourself, like feeling yourself. These archetypes don't always have to go together. You don't necessarily need a secondary for your primary. I've seen people that just have two primaries, like me, or, just only relate to one of the secondaries. Like, they're like, I don't agree with any of these. I don't even need a man. I want the coquette. Like, that makes sense too. Or even Enigma kind of falls in that category too, just independence and free spirit. So, with that, those archetypes are going to be key for you discovering your black cat energy. Ooh, and that's black cat.